Hello and welcome back to Tool of the Day. I'm Mr. D, and today we're going to be talking about a must-have tool for any workshop, the file. Files are a simple tool with a simple purpose, but they're a must-have for anybody who does any wood or metalworking. They can be used to remove small amounts of material when needed. They can be used to shape and form into irregular shapes, and they can be used to sharpen tools. Specialized files can even be used for things like stone cutting or jewelry making. In general, any file is best used when less than a 1/16 of an inch of material needs to be removed. More than that, and you're probably going to want to use a saw because doing it with a file is just going to take way too long. Files are used for wearing down rough edges. And some people might use sandpaper for this. One of the drawbacks there is that sandpaper eventually wears out, so you're going to need to replace it. And a file, if taken care of properly, will last you a lifetime and then some. With any kind of file, the teeth are set in one direction. So it's going to remove material when you're pushing away, not when you're pulling toward you. So it makes sense to apply pressure on the push stroke and then lift the file up to bring it back. The easiest way to do this is to put one hand on the handle and the other hand on the end of the file. And this gives you added stability as you're sliding this forward over the workpiece. Files are made out of some of the hardest steel that you're going to find in the workshop. And with hardness comes brittleness. So files are not designed to bend at all. If you try to use one as a lever, if you put any pressure on this thing in the sideways direction, you're very likely to snap the file. Make sure you're only using this tool for the purpose it was intended for, which is to wear down rough edges. The thing is, there's lots of different kinds of files out there with different features used for different things. So I'm going to go through some of the basics so you know what you're looking at. Probably the biggest thing that sets one file apart from the next is its shape. There's lots of different shaped files for different shaped work. This is a flat file, so best used for things that are flat. If you are working on a flat edge, you can probably want to use a flat file. There's also round files, which are a little bit tapered. They're normally pointed a little bit more at the end and get wider as they get toward the handle. And a round file is for filing in a round opening or a rounded edge. You can also get half round files that are flat on one side and have a curve on the other side. And it's going to be a little bit of a wider radius than your typical round file. You can get files in a triangle shape for getting into very tight corners. You can also find square-shaped files for getting into 90-degree corners if you're trying to keep that 90-degree angle specific. You might also find very, very small files called needle files, and these can be found in just about any shape that you can find at the full size. And for files like this one, all of these shapes can get quite a bit bigger. Another thing to consider when you're purchasing files is the handle. Sometimes you'll find files that are sold without a handle, and that can be a little bit of a pain. Other times you'll find files sold in a set with only one handle for multiple different file ends, and you would need to change the handle in order to use the other files. I find this can be a little bit of a pain too. So if you have the option to buy a set of files where each one has got their own handle, I think it's going to be well worth the additional cost. There's different types of file handles, and honestly, I'm not sure that it matters very much whether it's wood or plastic, whether it has a rubberized grip on it, but there are some details about the handle that might make you prefer one over the other. For example, if the file is round and has a round handle, it's going to be prone to rolling. If you can get one that's flat or that has flat sides to it, when you set that file down on the table, it's not going to go anywhere. Another thing is how the file is attached to the handle. Some of them are just pounded in, other ones are threaded on, and those threaded handles tend to stay on a little bit better than the ones that pound on. If you have to attach the handle by hitting it against the table and it starts to come loose, you might have to do that over and over again, and it can just become a little bit of a frustration. The other big difference that's going to set one file apart from the next is the type of teeth that the file has. Some files have very fine teeth, and they'll leave a much finer finish on the material that you're working. Files like this one have what's called a single cut tooth pattern. It means that the teeth were cut in one direction only. This also tends to produce a finer finish on the surface than a double cut tooth pattern, which looks more like this. And as you can see, the teeth are cut in two directions. Double cut teeth will remove material more quickly than single cut. These fine tooth patterns are suitable for cutting wood, metal, plastics, or lots of other different kinds of composite materials. You're going to find that the teeth will get a little bit clogged up though if you're cutting softer materials, particularly any kind of glue or resin. If you need to remove a lot of material quickly and you're working on wood or a similar soft material, you might go with a type of file called a rasp. Now the teeth on a rasp are cut a little bit differently from the teeth on a regular file. These are much more aggressive teeth and they'll remove material much more quickly. Of course, with rougher teeth comes a rougher surface finish. So it's common to use the rasp to remove a lot of material quickly and then switch to a file with finer teeth to turn that surface finish into something smoother. You might finish it up with some sandpaper to get to a highly polished finish. A rasp can be found with just about any of the shape profiles that we've already talked about. This file has 4 different tools all wrapped up into one. So if you're just looking for one general purpose file, this might be a good option. It has a flat side with both rasp teeth and double cut file teeth, and it has a half round side with rasp teeth and double cut file teeth. So you can pick and choose which is best for your situation. Of course, it doesn't have a nice ergonomically designed handle for you to hold onto. And it's shorter than these other files, so it's going to be for smaller jobs. When you're using a file, it's common for the teeth to get a little bit gummed up with material, and this can happen with wood or with metal. So from time to time, you need to clean the teeth on a file to keep it working properly. You can do this with a file card, which is a type of flat wire brush that's used specifically for cleaning out file teeth, or you can get away with other kinds of wire brushes to remove that material also. You run that wire brush in the direction that the teeth are cut, and it should remove whatever material has gotten lodged in there. When file teeth get gummed up with adhesives or other kinds of extra sticky gunk that just doesn't want to come out, a mild household solvent should help loosen that up. Hopefully you learned something new today about files, and next time you go looking for one, you'll know what you're looking for. I'm Mr. D, and thanks for joining me for Tool of the Day.